All right, everyone, it's time to talk about the wild roller coaster ride that is Bitcoin. By and large, crypto in general, but Bitcoin really is the big one. And the reason why it's works as opposed to other cryptos is mostly because it's more notorious. It's the original gangster of crypto. People know about it, and so everything else is sort of judged based on its relation to it. So we're just going to basically limit it to Bitcoin. Of course, right now, if I remember correctly, it's still rising today to record heights, or near record heights, at least recent history. To be honest, in disclaimer, number one, I'm not a fiscal expert, so don't use this video as a form of official business advice. For some reason, you have to say that when you're talking about crypto, I think. And number two, I do hold Bitcoin. I also hold a bit of Ethereum and Litecoin, and I accept all three as donation types. I think that they're useful. They're definitely fun, and in the future, if the predictions that have come true among some of the more pro-crypto groups continue to come true, Bitcoin could hit like $500,000 of Bitcoin. Because of its artificial scarcity kicking in, that is possible. Here's where the uncertainty comes. For instance, PayPal, I think it was last month, said that they were going to start working with Bitcoin. Well, naturally, that makes Bitcoin more robust. Coinbase has held off the idea of censoring people and making a woke business environment. That inspires business confidence. The idea that the business would refuse to simply hire a bunch of pink-haired people and start censoring their own user base for the crime of having opinions that your for-profit corporation doesn't have, holding up, showing that restraint is good, especially, I think, among most crypto consumers. The bad part is that governments around the world keep angling to try to regulate crypto, like they want them to make sure that any crypto transactions are traceable, mainly for law enforcement purposes. They want to tax it. They want to regulate what you can and can't do with it. Governments want to compete with the free market crypto that exists by creating their own. You saw that short-lived Facebook ploy to create the Libra coin, which never happened because a bunch of investors pulled out because they said, this is a bad idea. Then the U.S. government put the final nail in the coffin of it by basically warning Zuckerberg not to continue because they want to make a government-issued crypto fiat. That's what they want to do. My biggest concern is that you could get to the point where crypto becomes useless simply because it's too regulated. It's not treated like a normal currency. If you have a stack of US dollars, you can go to the store and you can buy things with it. Your transaction is not particularly regulated. The store can be, but the transaction itself, the currency, is pretty free-flowing. If crypto is treated differently, if it's treated as it is under US law as both an asset and a currency, allowing the government maximum latitude, if your own government, which is overseeing the markets that interact with the currency, is openly hostile towards it, as the Trump administration arguably at some cases has been, and I'm sure that the incoming Biden admin, assuming that Beijing Biden is rigged in, of course, and I always put that out there, will be similar, because they don't want people to be able to have any financial freedom. If you end up with the government hyper-regulating things, it could collapse the cost, or you could have a government ban it outright. You can't ban crypto in the sense of making it stop existing, but you can ban all useful sites from accepting it. If you can ban sites from converting or accepting crypto as an actual form of payment, or if you can hyper-regulate it to the point where the free market alternative, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, is useless, and only your government coin is useful because it's the only one exempt from some of that bullshit, all of the other cryptos fall by the wayside. They lose all of their value overnight. Doesn't matter if they're artificially scarce. Basically, the only usability would be black market. And of course, most crypto users, I have a feeling at this point, have... Initially, crypto was like the black market way of buying. It's like a Silk Road sort of thing. It's no longer that way. Yet PayPal accepts it. The other part is that the fiscal giants, banks, PayPal being a processor, and so forth, embracing crypto, inevitably can destabilize it too, because what can happen is that a bunch of normies that don't know what they're doing end up speculating the price up sky high and then it collapses. Another problem is that if you don't regulate it at all, you could get a situation where some scammers end up carving off enormous chunks of your economy, digitizing it, converting it into a different crypto seamlessly, and making it impossible to trace what they've done, which is probably why governments... You see, you've got to catch-22. You have to have some fiscal regulation on it to prevent potentially disaster, especially for maybe a smaller economy. You could defraud an entire small state that way if you worked hard enough. If you were sophisticated enough, you could theoretically do that. On the other hand, as you regulate it more, it loses its intrinsic value to some degree. Before Bitcoin was regulated at all, or before crypto was regulated at all, rather, before the government really cared, of course, initially you're buying Bitcoin for tiny amounts, and some people made millions, tens of millions of dollars dumping it. They sold it off. I don't know exactly what to expect from the future, but what I would say is this. You can expect it to continue going up and down and following normal trends, just as anything else in a market would. You can't predict when it'll happen, but it's formulaic what happens. In other words, we've seen it before. Stock market in general, commodities, anything under the sun. But you can't actually determine truly long-term Gesundheit what's going to happen with it. Because on one hand, I think it follows one of two basic trajectories. Governments don't fuck cryptocurrency over any more really than they have. You don't get a government alternative to privatized crypto, and it skyrockets. You end up, if you're holding a Bitcoin or two, you've got your retirement fund. The other possibility is that you lose it all because the government fucks it up, or it gets fucked up by some. If you have enough interruption of tech, let's say we have another Carrington event or something, all the computers get fried. There's gonna be a lot of missing Bitcoin out there. Oh shit, I forgot my password. Well, I guess I lost $1 million, says Joe Schmo. In such a case, you could lose everything. That's why I don't mine it. That's why I don't actively attempt to use it. That's why I don't put any money into purchasing it. I simply take it as a form of donation. I have a small amount of cryptocurrency. If it follows a positive trajectory, I make bank. If it follows a negative trajectory, the only money that I've lost truly, because the crypto I never did anything to purchase it in the first place, is the amount of taxes that I've paid on receiving it in the first place. And if I were not in my economic rung, if I didn't have any expendable income and was living paycheck to paycheck, I'd probably dump my crypto. In all honesty, I'd wait until it was reasonably high, I'd sell it off, and I certainly wouldn't buy any more. I might mine it. I might consider getting a mining rig if I thought that I could pull some sort of profit, but by and large, I wouldn't engage with crypto at that point. If you have a little more malleability and you sort of got your nest egg and the crypto is something that's more to you amusing than anything else, if it's not how you're paying your bills, how you're operating, again, I'm not giving official fiscal advice, but my own personal feeling in my own life is that I hold it. I'm going to hold on to it because if it does follow that positive trajectory, and there's a reasonable chance that happens, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, that's quite a bit of money, even if it's prefaced by a Biden depression, a Dempression or something. You can buy a couple cans of salad greens. You can buy a wagon because of course we'll have to return to horse and buggies. There's a nuclear war. Okay, well I cashed out my crypto the day before the bombs fell. I can buy plenty of pipe pistols and some Rad-X, I guess. Yeah, just some thoughts on crypto. But to be general about it, I'm positive towards crypto. I like Bitcoin. I think it's a good thing. I think decentralizing the world's fiscal system by and large is a good thing. I'm intrigued by the existence of blockchain and all of these other things, and I think it's a good thing for the world. But never underestimate the idea that government can come in and fuck things up that are a good idea by simply removing privatization, which tends to facilitate and make things better and more stable and more usable over time. If the government comes in, it can remove that use because it freaks out. It wants to hyper-regulate things because it wants to grift. It wants to fleece the income that people are otherwise making through a new technology, through a type of currency, through an economic alternative. That's about all. Peace out.